Okay, so I can share a little bit about every book. Because this is the only English talk, so anyone who prefer English should be happy now. Ah, okay, cool, yay! I'm happy to hear that. So just before we start, a little bit about me. So I'm Maya, and I'm a senior front-end developer at Cloudinary. If anyone here knows about Cloudinary, that's good. If not, try it, because it's awesome. We are an image processing photo that do an optimization for images and video on runtime on websites. And I'm a co-maintainer of StorefrontUI. This is the little icon here. We also have a sticker over there if anyone wants to take it. And I'm an organizer of Vue.js Israel. I start with Dima and Elad. And in addition, I'm also a blogger, which I'm writing articles about JavaScript, tutorials, and all the best practices on JavaScript in several web pages. So, anyone here using component library? Cool. Not a lot. Cool. So, anyone use Vuetify? Of course, it's Vue. Vueify? Is that right? Vueify is like a Bootstrap or Booma. Yeah, I tried it. I don't really like it, so never mind. So there's a Bootstrap. There's other things also. And any one of you using at work or just for using? Okay, that's good. How does it feel? Okay. So what the
people are happy.
I mean, with the kind of Gaka like Mercedes, Sababa, like okay, it's made the view, but you don't really like it. Okay, but first let's start with the benefits of using component library. So to make you more happy. So first, well, it's faster development. We don't have to spend a lot of time in creating UI component or UI elements, especially if we have to use the same button over and over again, just different color, different stuff. We don't need to build it. And we don't have to design our design system for our code because we already have existing code like existing component and someone already built it for us. And all the components is tested. So we don't have to spend time on writing unit tests because everyone don't, I mean, almost every developer don't like to write tests. Am I right? Okay, wishing I'm right. And of course, you also don't need to spend time on documentation because you already have document well documented. Because if it's not well documented, you're not going to use it because no one understands how to use it anyway. So it's cool. But now here comes the Sababa, like not so good. So the limitation is that we don't have anything to control it. It's hard to maintain. For example, anyone who use Vuetify from before 1 and then have to migrate it to 1? No, I use it. And it broke every single thing that I've used. Like they changed the convention, they deprecate something, and I have to spend a lot of time trying to understand what went wrong. And that is hard to maintain. And it's also hard to customization, especially on Vuetify when you have all the CSS styling is written with important. How are you going to override important? And it's also how you're going to customize a button in Vuetify or in other framework that already very heavy, high-level CSS selector. It's hard. And it's limited performance control. If you import the library, except if they allow you to do tree shaking, which is you select component, or they call it allocator mode. So select a component to import to your project. Whenever you do bundle your code, it includes the whole library. For example, if you only use a button of a framework like Bummer or Vuetify, you actually import the whole library, including also accordion, arrow, whatever you don't use. And it's there, wasted. Like Bootstrap, it's a very heavy wasted resources. And it's affect performance in real time because technically we still need to load on the CSS on the files before we can execute it. And bracket size, that make the size bigger. So that's what we build StorefrontUI for Vue. Well, this is our project. This is our GitHub if anyone interested to take a look. So we are the first UI library that dedicates for e-commerce, and we build, and it's 100% customizable design system. We don't call our library a component library. We are building a component library as a design system, and it's 100% customizable. And we also allow full tree shaking support, which means if you import one component, you only import one component. You don't import the whole library, and you only import the CSS applied for that component itself. You don't import more than that. And performance oriented, we think about performance. We always check about how it's behaved in slow internet, behave in small screen. We really care about performance, and we use all the best practices. And mobile first. Every design we do on the component, everything will build for mobile first, not for desktop. Because face it, nowadays anyone goes online shopping on desktop. Most of you go shopping on mobile, right? Like your phone. So what we learned during the process, then how we build this kind of library. First, don't try to solve everything, because it's all about trade-off. You cannot satisfy everyone. Every user have every user have its own demand, and even him don't know what he wants. So you cannot satisfy everyone. So it have to be prioritized. First, planning and mandatory is mandatory. A good planning means you don't have to release some version has breaking change. No one likes breaking change, and no one likes things that is not working anymore if they use your library. So you need to plan ahead. And how to plan it? First, define the main goal. Why have the icon? So Grammarly. School, it's checking. So what are the main goals when we define StorefrontUI? Well, you would think, of course, you're making customizable component library, isn't it? No, we don't. We make component library that prioritize customization, which means we always put customization first. We think of most of the case for satisfy all the user needs. We leave the ability for user to customize, but we don't try to do it like full scale. Like we don't try to satisfy the customization 100%. We know when we stop and what is the limitation we take in order to give the user customization ability they want. And it has to work with every design, like compatible in code in almost every design. Let's say I have a button. We give you a button, but you need that button in a different color, a little bit border, different border shape. But how will you go to override it? So we give you the ability to override it without a lot of heavy mess in CSS, without important, without other wrapper. And we define the most common use case and the requirement for it. This is the product card. This is the component we create for our StorefrontUI. And you can actually use this one, and it's already have on the on the image and on the component here is already inside. You can use it and play with it and replace whatever in this one according to your need. So what can be different here? Because this is the product card. So for example, some developer take this product card and need to change it. Instead of making the icon appear here, he needs to make an icon appear here. Or instead of this is the font size, you need to make it bigger. Or you need to make this one above this one, like changing the order of the element. So we have typography and colors. we have padding, margin, and size, icons, and order of element. All of this, the combination of this create different scenario to handle your component in real life, in real usage of developer. So build a component library means that we have to build a design system in general. Because what is design system? Design system include everything. You need to define the style guide, you need to have component library, you need to have a pattern, and then you can build from that. The component library is only one part of it, but you need to define everything in advance. So first and foremost, style guide. When we build a component library, people think that you should build only this part. But no, you need to build everything and first build the style guide. This is the planning. Because if you have the style guide, you are clear what option you are giving to user. Even in your own design system, you need to define what color you're using on button. Or else one day someone will come to the team and say, I want this button a little bit more red than this red. Then you need to add another red, and then you end up with a lot of CSS variable or CSS color. It's hard to maintain. Color of an icon, this is what we build for documentation. Or typography. So we have different size available here. And all of this is not a class. It's available as for on the props of the component. Yeah.
These are props that you set on.
This is CSS. This is SCSS variable.
Yeah.
And this is the icon. The icon itself is a component. And then you can pass the size of this is one of the prop of the icon.
It's not a class.
It's not a class. It's a prop.
Okay.
But it has more stuff. I just keep it for later.
Yeah.
Okay. So next, after we define the style guide, we need to come and make the component. So how do we make? What do we make? And how do we make it? For StorefrontUI, we follow atomic design, which means, anyone here know atomic design? Okay, not too bad. So for anyone that haven't known or heard about atomic design, it's a very simple concept, actually very nice also. You break the component into sub-component until the last things called atoms. For example, atoms mean icon, button, text, header, image, and then you build the molecules. Build the molecules, which means you take combination of several icons several atoms in order to create a bigger component, but still it's not the full component. For example, if you have in this one you have the photo, the icon, the image, and the bar here. And then you can come from there, you create organism. Organism is more complex. It's like product card. It's the organism. Organs. It's like, okay, for product card is one type of organs. It's like the part of your body that were made by smaller part, and smaller part were made by super small part. That thing like that. And then you have template, which is the page, and with template, which is the what you call the templates. And then you have the page which already render every information needed into. So that is the atomic design. It helps to make the component, break the component into sub-component, and it's easier to maintain because if you change something, you need to change in one piece of the whole picture. How about customization? We talked about a lot about design, a lot about planning. So what make our things, how do we make it customizable? How about style guide? Like you saw, style guide is pretty static. You define the style guide. This is the guide you need to follow. So we also define the style guide. But this style guide works for us. What about our user who want different color set, different template, different typography, different size? Using CSS class, Well, one way, but no. CSS module, so now we're using CSS variable. Browser give us CSS variable, use it. Well, currently we're using SCSS variable, which you can import and you can modify the CSS variable was defined before in our code, and then define your own SCSS variable based on the name, the list of variables already have. And then it just overrides each other because we don't use anything important. But now we're going to change to CSS variable, which is more performant, better. But it doesn't work on IE. But anyway, we say that we don't really care about IE. So next, so this is an example of the code. As you can see, here we have color primary, and we set a default color is green. And then if you want to override it, all you need to do is have another SCSS file and just write using exact same name, and then it will automatically override it in action, in production. You don't have to worry about why it doesn't override or why the component doesn't take my color and stuff like that. You don't need to add any more important or need to add any more deeper class.
Question?
Yes.
So if you would like to override this color in a Vue component,
yeah,
would you need to you need to import something from somewhere from the library and then just
no,
give it
you
the
can
color?
import, because when you use the component, you import the component, and then in the style guide, how say it's the style section,
yeah.
style tag, then you just need to define that using SCSS, and then you define again what you want. And then because you are inside the component, you can do a scope, so it takes the latest variable, it takes the latest value of that variable, and then it's automatically updated. So
you don't have to import it from the library?
No, because
it's globally available?
Because it's already included in the component itself.
Okay.
So you don't have to import it again.
Okay.
Well, if you want, you can import it, but I don't see a reason why you need to. Okay, what about icon? Actually, this is what I'm so proud of, because I personally do this. So we have a standard StorefrontUI icons, and we call it, we don't use it as icons as SVG file. We actually combine it into a JavaScript file inspired by CSS module. So we have a list of icons. You can see here we have a view box size. If anyone knows SVG, we need a view box and we need path. So the path is the array of paths in order for SVG to create the icon for you. So we have a set of that predefined for us in the system. And this is our storybook. So when we use the icon, we just need to put icon home. What size do you want? We have the predefined set of size also, and the color also, like you can see. And the view box, because some of the icon is not going according to the material design standard. Some of icon have the different view box, so you want to render it exactly in the middle or align a little bit fit into the container. You need to have the view box. If not, then it just render missing a little bit in the bottom, missing a little bit on the width, on the side, something like that. And this is how you call it. Just put icon home, and then the library already know you meant that taking the home icon from StorefrontUI icons list and render it, put a color and put a size. But you can actually extend the icon list to your need or delete whatever you don't want it. For example, here I import the icon and then I add another icon in here. Just like that. You take the SVG file, you copy the path, you put it into the another JS file, and you create your own list of icons. And you can also, not only you can do that, you can also pass it straight to the component, which means instead of passing home or arrow left or making it extend the icon list, you can call it directly with the path. So this is the text, the path of this icon. And then you can put a pixel, like you don't need to use the predefined size. You can put any pixel, any rem, any unit for size that you want to use. Have to be CSS. And color according to the CSS standard. Any color. Here I put a green color and view box. So you can choose either to pass a color from our color list, or just pass a path, an array of paths, or a size, custom size, or custom color, anything. And you still can render the icon, and it's totally customizable. You can even replace the icon with an image, like everything else. And but instant customization, this is per component. For example, don't do color red because this is visual. It's too visual appearance. You don't modify a button with color red, put straight away to the prop. Prop is using for something more meaningful. You're using class. If you have to, using class. Well, but except it's icon, because icon is meant for icon, so you can use the color for icon, but don't use the color for anything like higher order component, because then it's hard for developer to understand later on how to modify it or how to use it. As for example, now if I have the button and I put a text and on click, everything is fine, right? Using prop. But then if I want to add an icon to this button, some will say, okay, just add a prop called icon. I want to have a class, or I want to have a position of the icon. Put the position, left, right, a prop. But then if I want to have another class like icon class or icon size or icon thing, so you have a list of a lot of props for the same component. It goes endless because you can never know what user may ask to add into the component. It doesn't cover everything. So the best way is that you use a button, put only the very meaningful, very crucial props on the top, and whatever put inside. How do we do that? We use slot. Vue.js have slot. Got to use it. It's one of the most powerful things in Vue, right? So in this case, you can cover about 80% of the user. Leave the 20 left, do whatever they need to do by putting the image in span or whatever. They can put in an image, they can put in anything inside the button. But you still can keep your button as minimal and customizable as possible. And user can extend it. Course organizing. Break the template into standalone blocks, which if you have a page with header, middle, and footer, break into 3 different sets. Don't try to jam it into one. Break into 3 smaller components, and the smaller component break into smaller components. Use semantic HTML as much as possible. Don't write. Don't use the semantic HTML in CSS. Make sure that it has no connection with each other. If someone really like to use a H3 and then put a lot of CSS styling inside heading tree, H3, it's not recommended. Use BEM. Someone knows BEM? No.
A bit.
Naming is always hard. But if you have to name, make it meaningful, use BEM. It stands for block element modifier. Then you can know exactly what block you're looking at it, what element you're looking at it, what then. Or you can also use the style component or and you click on side meaningful prop name. Don't give the prop name something that no one understands what it is. And use scope slot, like I say. This way you can have customization. This is the component, we call it banner. So we have a class called asset banner, and then we have container. This is the container, and then we have a subtitle, and we have a title, we have description, and we have call to action. Everything appear according to order, and you can change the order with CSS, with the CSS variable. We'll put it order. And finally, how to deliver it. How to make sure that delivery is efficient, cheap. So in first, we're using bundle code, which is that classic way. Import StorefrontUI, Vue use. Everyone knows it, right? We got Vue use to use a library. The bad thing about this, when you use Vue.use, it's actually including the whole library in production bundle code. It doesn't delete all the library because you actually import everything, and then you need to install everything. It doesn't shake anything out. Oops, I have enough time? I promise I'll finish. and that means we don't have any control over the bundle code, like I say, because everything jammed into one. You don't know what included. So we switch to raw source code. So what is raw source code? You import only the button from the library, and then you use it. So because you import only the button, it doesn't work on browser as is because it needs to be processed through the compiler, which is Webpack. In the other hand, we have full control because now user only import a component. It doesn't need to import the whole library. It doesn't need to use anything. It just import the component itself.
You don't have to do Vue use?
No, we don't. You don't have to do Vue.use anymore because you don't have any installed function you need it. Again, and you have full tree shaking because you import one, so it's actually you take a leaf from the tree. You don't take the whole tree. And where someone say, but then you need a bundle tool. Well, nowadays development need Webpack. I haven't seen anyone that do development in large scale without Webpack or any bundle management tool. If anyone did it, raise your hand, please. Okay, so everyone use Webpack. So yeah, obviously we don't need to worry about the need of bundle tool. So that's why it's better because when we deliver raw source code, we let the user decide what they really want, what they really import, and we just go with it. You don't try to tree shake for the user. We let the user decide what to tree shake. And finally, lazy load everything. If you have assets, lazy load it. If you have image, don't store it locally in the application on the code base. Take it from external source like Cloudinary. But well, anyway, you have lazy load in image. You have lazy load on component in Vue, in Vuex. You actually can lazy load using Webpack and only load the component when it's in Vue. And whatever you can lazy load, lazy load. Don't do everything in beginning. It's help performance. And what next? Build component for, start building component for you yourself, your company, and of course for Avenue. Well, he's Avenue, so. And support StorefrontUI. We're still in beta. We're far from the release date. We need a lot of support. So give it a start if you can. Contribute. We need a lot of contributors. We need documentation. We need people who implement components. If you think that you have the time for it and you're good at it, well, even if you think that you don't good at it, just contribute. We need everyone. Doesn't matter. And join our team. We're also looking for maintainers. And I'm the only one in Israel, so yeah. Please come. And that's it. Thank you.